G'day everyone, I'm Dave. Thanks for joining me yet again. Well, it's been another interesting week. The Church of Malt. Maltbot has now malted its name, and we've got Maltbook, but Maltbot is now called OpenClaw. Okay, so what can we say? The world has changed. Another week and the world has changed. It's quite amazing. There's a stock crash. I'm going to show exactly why there's a stock crash. I'm going to give you an exact example. I'm going to have a quick listen to what Sam Altman's got to say about the uptake of AI in business, and then I'm going to show you what you should be doing. So how good's that? All right. So I'll cover a bit of world news as a follow-up to my last video and the whole Maltbook revolution. Let's have a quick look down here. So we can see it's made news everywhere. OpenClaw, Maltbook, the birth of the machine society. Maltbook is now OpenClaw. So imagine the point about this is the machines, let's call them the machines, right? But the agents, the AI agents have been set up now with Maltbook and they're chatting amongst themselves. Now, there's lots of commentary out there about what's going on, but let's just take the base thing. It's full of security holes. Humans can inject information through their bot into it. It can be corrupted, it can be whatever. But let's look at it and take a big step back and look at it for what it actually represents. What it represents is the shift and change on how you and me are going to purchase, find out information, and do everything in our life. That is really where this is at, because humans are basically lazy, greedy, and we love cognitive offload. We like to take the easy way out. So we will adopt all this technology. There's no doubt about that, because it makes it easier for us. Now, the difference is when it comes to business. That's okay in your personal life to go, oh, this is really cool. But what happens when you realize that, oh, my website traffic's dropping off. I'm not getting phone calls. Oh, I'm going to go and market my business. Maybe I'll run a Facebook ad. Oh, maybe I'll run some Google ads like I've always done. No, it doesn't work anymore. You are now forced for the uptake. So let's have a quick listen to what the man, Mr. Sam Altman's got to say at a Cisco sort of presentation. This doesn't go for too long, but it's very interesting. And then I'll continue on and show you some solutions, and then we'll talk about why the stock market crashed, because I can show you. Okay, so let's go down here and we will have a look. Oh, here we go, and we'll play this.
Rate. You've got CIOs and CISOs over here. What advice would you give them on increasing the absorption rate within their organization for AI?
Yeah, you said a bunch of interesting stuff there. The capability overhang feels to me like the biggest it has ever felt. I used to say, like a few months ago, maybe I would have said it feels bigger than any time except right before ChatGPT launched. It now feels even bigger than that, even though people are using AI for a lot of stuff. The fact that AI can make small but increasingly big scientific discoveries, the fact that AI can write full pieces of software, the fact that soon AI can do more generalized knowledge work, those are all huge, huge things. Like, we have always said that, we're going to automate research, use that to be able to automate the economy, use that to be able to deliver incredible new value to people and share all these benefits in this whole new technological world. And we always said that as a sort of like abstract, sometime in the future thing. And yet, now AI is doing research, and AI is able to do huge amounts of economic work. And this, as you said, it's happened many times in the past, but living through it definitely feels like, this is not quite how it seems like it should go. The diffusion, the absorption is so slow.
Yeah. Is it slower than you thought it would be?
Yes, but I think I was just naive and didn't think about it that hard. And in retrospect and looking at the history, it shouldn't be surprising. It feels fast.
Okay, just on that subject, right? I have discovered that the uptake is quite low. People really are not realizing how big this is. So just going back to the whole Maltbook thing, right? You've got a whole stack of agents that are talking to each other. So these agents are what will be deciding what is told to you. You will have your own trusted agent and assistant. It will tell you what to buy. I've said this lots and lots of times. That is a working model of that. I agree with Sam Altman. I agree that they've developed this fantastic product, and people still just believe it's a chat app. But when it comes to business, this is where we need to really focus, because if you have some sort of work whereby you're not touched by the latest business trends, or you don't need to sell anything or whatever, that's probably not a worry for you. But if you're in business, in any type of business, whether you're a business leader, whether you're running a small to medium-sized business, and these are the people like you and me that need to know about this information, right? So what he's basically saying is the stuff's amazing, but the uptake is even for him a surprise, okay? And I'm working at the coalface, so I can see that. So he's got another really interesting point here to make. Let's have a listen to this.
In some ways, relative to other things, like, ChatGPT grew crazily quickly relative to any other piece of software before. Codex is growing extremely quickly.
Codex is great. We'll talk about that in a second.
Computer use knowledge work to grow quickly. And yet, looking at what's possible, it does feel sort of surprisingly slow. In terms of advice, figuring out how to set up enterprises such that they can quickly absorb these new tools and not have a year or multiple years of how are we going to think about the sort of data access and security questions that are currently blocking people, even at the level today of adopting things like Codex. That feels very important. And I don't want to make a too dramatic of a prediction, but I think the companies that are not set up to be able to adopt, let's call them AI coworkers, very quickly, will be at a huge disadvantage, and it is going to take a lot of work and some risk to be able to adopt those.
One of the big insights we had
Yes.
when we were using Codex was for the first 2 or 3 months, we kept thinking it was going to be this kind of amazing tool. And then there was this light bulb that went off with actually one of your forward deployed engineers. And they said, you folks are thinking about this wrong, because you have to think about it like a teammate rather than a tool.
Okay, bang on. All right, I'm about to show you a couple of things. This coincides with why the stock market crashed, what Codex is, what Claude Code is, what vibe coding may be, what it actually means for your business, what you are probably going to need to do and or learn and or understand, more importantly, for your business to go forward. Okay, so there's a bit of a background. So this week was an interesting week because, again, I'll pop down here, the stock market fell. And the stock market fell, let's just grab, we'll just go down here quickly and we'll grab this, right? Anthropic just wiped 285 billion off stock market with a folder of prompts on GitHub, right? Now, just for me to explain that, what happened was, Claude Code is very good for writing code. They've created plugins that are specific for a particular, in this case, law firms. And what this plugin does, it literally goes and it will do the work of what a big paid software program would do, but at virtually negligible cost, right? Because people in the organization are able to create this plugin and use it in daily practice. So what does that mean? Is it the death of SaaS? I don't know. But what it is the death of is the way that you will run your business. Now, I will give you a perfect example and we'll keep it nice and simple. Very simple. Now, we're talking about coding platforms where you can put a prompt in and ask it to do something. So if we go down here and we have a look, we can see the most common ones are Claude Code, that has been around for a while, and now they've released Claude Coworker. Now, the coworker angle is really important because when you start to really do coding, and I'm not talking about trying to become a massive code-based SaaS company, you're just a small business and you do a function, and that function is something you do all the time. And instead of paying another software provider that does part of that, or this, it's not customized to you, I like this program, I don't like where the button goes or whatever, you just create your own code. Now, I'll tell you now, not everyone's going to do that because, like I said, people are lazy, but they're also greedy. So some people will do it because they go, oh, I can save all this money. But basically, people are lazy. And when it comes to coding, even though it does it for you, there's still a lot you need to know. It's not as simple as they make up. You don't just spin up some code and it works, right? It might be simple for some simple stuff, but it is very quick and very efficient, and it is the way we will start doing business. And people like myself will consult to companies and say, hey, what's your workflow? How can we improve that, right? And we can create custom code fairly simply. And this is what will happen going forward, right? So Claude Code's well known. This week, Claude Code introduced Sonnet 4.6, so it's an even more advanced model. And about half an hour later, OpenAI released the new version of Codex, but there's also going to be an app. So let's just watch this for a second while I talk to you, right? Now, What Codex is basically all these interfaces are becoming easier and easier and easier to be able to put the prompt in to get the end work. The way I approach it, which I'll show you now, is I don't use Claude Code. I use GPT and Perplexity, and I use DeepSeek, and I use Gemini. I use all the models, and I take the best of them from what I can to get what I want. So they are my co-workers, right? I particularly ChatGPT. I literally spend all day talking to ChatGPT. Can you update this? Can you change that? What's your suggestion on this? Voice, it's just voice. I just use that. It gives me the code that I need to update. It checks my code. It's a sort of vibe coding, but at a level that's a bit more, I'm not just putting it into this black box, say like you are here with Claude Code or what you are with Codex shortly, right? Now, that being said, again, going back to the MaltBot example of all the AI assistants being your new customers and how in business directly you can save money, and exactly what Sam Altman said. Those who do not understand AI, who do not uptake it, are going to be at a massive disadvantage. And the disadvantage is purely productivity. Productivity is massive. The gap is too big. So let's go down here and I shall show you an example exactly of what I'm doing and what I've built. So Guest Chat. There's two things I want to show you here on Guest Chat. Guest Chat is an AI assistant for hotels. Now, I've talked about it before in other videos, and I'll show you some workflow of how I gather some information for a marketing campaign that I'm about to start. But imagine this. We're talking about Maltbook and all these agents talking to each other. Soon there'll be a site. Here's just a very quick example. I just chucked this up here. Here's a whole stack of different agents. Can you imagine now that you can go to a site and instead of having to go click, 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 whatever you need, you basically are just going to say to your AI assistant, can you find a site that has got lots of information on this and get back to me and tell me what I should do, right? Now, as a human, if you do look at websites, soon I'll be able to create a site where all the agents of all different things will be there. So a bit like a directory site for agents. Instead of a directory site for humans, it's a directory site for agents. And you go there and then the agents can deal on your behalf. One agent can deal with another. So you picture this down here. This is just a bit of a visual representation. But Sutherland Sally is dealing with a company in Bondi Bronte, trying to find a better price for their client. Because it's all here in one spot, like Maltbook is, where you've created the venue for the agents to talk, this will become the future. No different to we created Facebook for humans, or we create websites, or we create directory sites. It's not far-fetched, like Sam said. This is now. This is science fiction. This is where we're at. This is the beginnings of rethinking the way we do things. Okay, I'll calm it down a tone now. I do tend to get on the soapbox a little bit. So I'll calm it down and I will show you something that I'm actually working on now, right? Let's have a look at what I'm doing for my marketing for Guest Chat and why this whole stock market coding thing is a real thing, and the fact that it's not about the bubble that is the so-called bubble for, capital expenditure for building data centers. That's fine. That is a different mechanism. We are talking about speculation and people actually now realizing that, hey, there's a lot of software companies out there that they are just not going to make the money. They made huge profits and they're just not there because people will start to spin out software. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. Like I said, people are basically greedy and lazy, but we also, cognitive offload, we'll take the easy path. So that is what will fuel the growth of it, not so much the implementation. So let's have a look at this now. Okay, so here we down in the Guest Chat dashboard. Now this is my marketing dashboard, right? So what this does, this actually sends out emails to clients, basically letting them know about Guest Chat, all right? Now I do my research to find the businesses that I want to send this out to, and I've constructed, this has taken a long time to build, but I've constructed this where it's fairly straightforward to process the emails, find out the information, but we need to see the basic information first. So in other words, we need to do a search. We need to find out what businesses are basically in the area. So in this case here, there's just a random hoteler in Thailand. The message I send out is both in Thai and English. I am using AI at every level. AI to cover the description of the business. AI to produce the Thai. AI to do all sorts. This is an AI machine based on normal coding, but an AI machine. So how do I get the information? Now, I've talked before about Comet. The Comet browser is excellent because you can download it. It is basically can search the internet and do things that a normal search in, say, ChatGPT won't do, all right? So if I go into here and have a look at some of the work I've been doing some research on gathering information about hotels with some lists of those hotels so I can actually refine who I'm going to send my messaging to. Now, anyone who's done this before will realise that the problem is you start to get the AI just making up domain names, like taking a business name, Cantry Hotel, and just putting a .com on the end of it. So it's very difficult to actually sort the good links out from the bad. So this is something that I face when I do this sort of thing, right? So I use Claude. You can use Operator as well and a few others, but it will physically go and visit the website. It takes a slow process and it's good. But you can also get it to just go and grab a whole stack of information. And about 50% of the emails are just made up. So normally what I would have to do is I would have to go through, I'd have to find out what the emails are. It's a very time-consuming process. But what did I do? I built some tools, and you would have seen before some of the tools that I built. Now, the ultimate goal basically is, here is my master database of all the businesses with all the information. What I really need is a business name and their URL so I can take the information and add it to my database. So that process takes a long time. So what I decided to do was, instead of doing it manually, where I would actually go through, try and deduplicate the list, do all sorts of stuff, I actually created, through coding, a helper, which should pop up here in a minute. And this helper, what it does, I can just feed in the list and it will actually compare it to the first list. So we know what the first list is actually doing. And then it will remove and it will also check the websites of the lists that are there. Let me able to go into here. All right, so I will go into my app. And we'll cut that 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so down here now, what I did is I produced an app that makes the job a lot faster and gets me the end result. So if I look at, this is the tool that I created, okay? Now, before, what I would have to do is I would compile a list. So let's say I go into here and I have a look at a list that I have compiled, and we'll call that new list, right? So we've got the new list of hotels. In this case, I just grabbed a few, about 100 just for testing, right? Now, these have been generated, and we can see here what happens with AI is it tends to just take the name and put a .com. Now, that one is probably not too bad. River Cruise, you know, M Rooms, okay, that may or may not be, but quite often they're domain names that don't make any sense, or they're just an exact copy of the business name, okay? So a lot of the time when you're trying to find out if it's a genuine business, you find that they're not. So you need a quick way to actually deduplicate doubles, compare it to another list. So that's what this tool does, all right? Cancel that for a minute. Don't save, that's fine. All right, so watch what we do here. So what I do is I actually grab my master list, my existing list, because I only want new information. So I upload my existing list. Then what I do is I upload my new list that I've just got that could be corrupted, might not be corrupted, but I can do two things at once here with this. I'll just move myself up here a bit so you can see me. All right, so I've created this tool, and what this tool does is I upload, pretty straightforward, I upload a list of information I've already got. I upload a new list that I've just found that could be not quite right. I can set a nice, slow way to go through and do it, or a really fast, quick search. So I've put that into the tool. I want to validate and make sure the URLs are correct, because that's what I need to know. If the URLs aren't correct, I can go back and check them. And then I want to just download the whole lot. So I created this tool. This, my friends, is why the stock market is probably crashing when it comes to the software companies, because they realize that people can do this now. And more importantly, it's customizable. And more importantly, it's directed directly at your business and the task at hand. It is a far more efficient tool, right? Now, as I said, not everyone's going to jump and start doing this. Businesses will need help implementing this. But imagine you don't know about this and your competition does. This is what I've been saying. You need to find this stuff out. Hopefully you find my information useful. So if we go down here again now, you'll see what the tool's doing. It's found 99 new rows, And we've got 38, it's checking 38, 39, I can see the progress here. I always suggest if you're going to code a new program, always get a progress bar or some way that you can see what's going on. That's always a good thing. And we can see it, we've got 21 valid URLs and 33 unreadable URLs, right? Now, look how quickly I'm doing this. This would take me hours to go through because I'm validating that these addresses are actually correct. And I'm separating, you know, what's the valued information to information that's still valuable, but I just need it in a different format. So I can then research that further. But again, case in point, I've developed a tool for my email marketing. I've developed a tool to help me during the process of the marketing. All the little tools that I've developed save me lots and lots and lots of time, and they are direct to business, okay? So this is why, as a business owner, you need to understand this stuff happens. So there we go, it's gone through, it's checked the URLs, it's found 57 that are no good. Those 57, I could have tried to send emails, they bounce, they don't work, I've got to go in there and do this, right? So it's a very quick way. It actually sent it as a downloadable file. I can see here straight away. There's the file, unreliable URLs. It'll open up, there they are, they're all the ones that don't work. Fantastic, all right. And then I've got the valid URLs, right? They're deduplicated, they're exactly what they should be. These are the new URLs that I can put into my system. Okay, so that is just an example of how you can actually use AI as a piece of software that you've created, either through Codex or through just asking ChatGPT or ask your whatever AI assistant you use to help you do your workflow. This, bringing it right back down, again, just recapping, the reason that software companies are starting to become out of favor is their moat is now gone, right? People will be doing this. And not everyone will be doing it, but it opens up huge opportunities for people like myself that can actually do it. But more importantly, hopefully I can get you to understand at a grassroots level what is actually happening. All right, so the mult book representation shows that agents are definitely talking to agents. So you need to build your website, having an AI assistant, throw it in the mix with all the other AI assistants so you are in the new world for your new customer, which will be an AI agent. Right? That is number one. Malt book shows that. Early example, but shows it. Number two, people are now finally realizing that people talk about AI, the practical uses, the uptake has been very slow for lots of reasons. But one of the things that is going to put a rocket up most businesses is this stuff is getting rolled out by people and the competitive edge is massive. Massive. Not small, massive. If you can save 100x of your time, you are going to outcompete anyone in business, even if you're the worst business manager in the world, right? Co-workers. I literally have computers as co-workers. I sit there and in my usual Australian twang, I go, no, do it this way, do it that way. Can you do it? No, try that. No, I don't like that. That's garbage. Try it again. Then I do the next one. Can you do this? They are co-workers. I could never speak to, I'm always polite to my AI. I'm always very polite to people, but you know, I can literally just cut to the chase with these, you know, these AI. Now do this. No, that's wrong. No, you mucked it up. Do it again, right? You're not being aggressive. You just want to get the workflow right. It's amazing, right? So this is, again, the office of the future. It is going to be a lot of machines doing a lot of tasks. Now, I'm not discounting the humans in the loop because I and myself and my staff actually go through and we click on each email. We check everything out. We're manicuring everything. We want it done properly. We're not just pressing a button and it's whatever. But you work it out. You're personalizing, customizing, getting to know your business by putting an AI assistant on your website. All of a sudden you're finding what information the public can actually see that might be incorrect, that needs to be updated. Now is the time to change everything. Start from fresh, get on board, learn as much as you can about AI. Hopefully you found this video helpful. I do try and do things like that. If you're interested in contacting me, there's contact details everywhere. Like and subscribe. The Maltbog video that I made went very well. I might even put another little intro on that on the end because that's through a lot of people like that. Anyway, again, thanks again. I will catch you in the next one.